Madam Web is the latest entry in Sony's attempts to keep the Spider-Man rights away from Marvel and Disney. And just like all their other attempts, it is an absolute dumpster fire of a movie. Because of this, I have no intentions of watching it. But that's not going to stop me from giving my 2 cents about it.
I knew from the very start that Madam Web would be absolute trash. Just from looking at the only trailer for the movie, I could find so much wrong. From the childish dialogue,
I can see the future. Oh, what the hell? She didn't see that coming?
to the hapless amount of exposition spouted by the characters,
He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
to the haphazard editing choices in the movie alone. Or maybe that last part was for the trailer. Oh, who am I kidding? It's probably in the movie as well.
Even back to when this movie was greenlit, there were some serious red flags.
The executives hired the same screenwriting hacks behind It's Morbid Time! And we all know how that movie turned out. In fact, these two have an entire resume of trash fire misses with low RT scores. Their only bright spot seems to be Netflix's reboot of Lost in Space. And to think they would have improved their skills after helming that series. But nope, they're still bad at their job. But, to be fair, this film did undergo some significant reshoots and script changes, which I'll bring up in a little bit.
But let's just take a step back and actually look at the plot of this train wreck.
The film is actually an origin story of Madam Web, who was originally much older in the comics. Not only is it about how she got the power to see the future, but how she must try to save 3 other Spider-Women from a man named Ezekiel Sims. So, as you can see, we are dealing with some multiverse nonsense. I mean, look, the guy who saves her from drowning is actually Uncle Ben from the comics. But what completely lost me was that director S.J. Johnson wanted a grounded and relatable story, which, if I'm being honest, is a pretty tumultuous task to pull off for a character with time travel abilities. Oh, but also, the writers decided to go crazy with the script knowing that Madam Web never had an origin story. Oh wait, the movie was originally going to have references to Spider-Man, but then Sony chickened out and ordered reshoots to adjust the timeline, and only have younger versions of Uncle Ben and Aunt May appear, in hopes that people would still show up to the theater. I swear, these executives are so desperate to kickstart their own shared universe, yet they are so afraid of setting it up that they hire incompetent screenwriters who don't put in actual effort or have Spider-Man show up in some capacity. It was so bad that the lead actress, Dakota Johnson, quit her talent agency after the first trailer dropped. And I don't blame her. She originally signed on because she thought she was working for Marvel. But after the story changes and reshoots, it became clear to her that this was a complete shit show from the start. Therefore, my only condolences go towards her and to S.J. Clarkson to some extent, because as far as I'm concerned, she has directed some good quality content in the past, including episodes of the critically acclaimed Succession and Marvel's Jessica Jones. So, I'm guessing Sony wanted to capitalize on that. Oh, but the kicker is that back then, Clarkson actually had good scripts to work with, which this film clearly lacks.
But since I'm not watching Sony's most recent abortion, here's what I expect happens.
The film will take place in the 2000s, evoking the same 90s 2000s vibe with these dumb movies. And as I said before, the editing will be absolute bonkers throughout a good portion. Cassandra Webb is saved by Uncle Ben just like in the trailer. Miss Webb does receive her powers, and she somehow has to save 3 other women who become Spider-Women. Oh, but let me guess, they don't even become Spider-Women until the very end of the movie. In fact, I don't even think the title character will be the main focus most of the time. I suspect the acting will vary from just okay, to not even trying, to utterly abysmal. And with the editing being on autopilot, I wouldn't be surprised that they used all of the worst takes from these people. I believe Ezekiel Sims will be just another pathetic excuse for an actual antagonist, like in Sony's other movies, which featured cartoonishly insane and silly villains with a vague and confusing motivation. Actually, now that I think of it, he might be the most boring antagonist to this web of lies. Sure, the other guys were poorly written, but at least they kept me interested. Oh, but here's the real kicker. Knowing that this may not take place in the same universe as Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, I suspect that Sony will pull the same crap like they did in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. You know, how instead of Peter gaining his spider powers just by accident and unknowingly, nope, They literally make it his destiny to become Spider-Man. What I'm saying is that it is literally Cassandra's destiny to become Madam Web, to save the 3 other Spider-Women, and to ensure Peter Parker's future.
And those are my thoughts on what potentially happens in the film Madam Web. Now, you're probably wondering, you can't just review a movie without watching it. That's just lazy. Well, in case you didn't know, a good portion of people on the internet don't even watch the movies or TV shows that they hate so much nowadays. Therefore, I have every right to review a movie without watching it, just like Chris Stuckman has every right to not review a bad movie, even if it does make him look like a snowflake. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and remember, out of all the nastiest things said on the internet, my opinion matters most. Bye-bye!